Okay, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, sorry for the delay, yeah. Some technical issues again. All right. Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem. Amma ba'd. So today is going to be a short session, inshallah. Hopefully, we are going to finish our chapter, which is the theory of contract, which is actually we are talking about the pillars of contract. So we talked about the first pillar, expression. I think you can see in the screen. I want you to get the outline first so that it's easy for you to understand further. So you can see the expression is the first one. So we talked about how, and then we talked about who, which is the parties to a contract. So when we talk about the parties, we talked about the capacity, right? What kind of capacity that they requires. They require to establish a contract. So we talked about the receptive capacity, and then we talked about the active capacity, right? Ahliya al-ada, active, and then receptive is ahliya al-wujub, yeah? Okay. Then following that discussion, we also talked about the those people who already got sort of capacity. But at the same time, there are few obstacles to capacity or restraints. So what are those obstacles? Then we talked about those, minor idiocy, sleeping, unconscious, mortal illness including. So we talked about all those things. All right. Now we are in the same pillar number 2. All right. We didn't go to pillar number 3 yet. So once we finish this, we go going back to pillars. Then we will talk about pillar number 3, which is what, which means that the subject matter, subject and object matter, right? So now, if you can see this, um, what is it actually that someone has capacity, but now um, someone is actually coming to do the transaction on his or her behalf, right? So now we are not talking about the person himself, whether that person himself can do the transaction or not. We talked about it, whether that person comes under passive receptive or active legal capacity. We talked about it. What if the person is not doing? All right, remember, the person is not doing, the other person is doing, meaning to say someone is there representing him. This is a kind of a naib, we call a niyabatan anhu in Arabic. So someone wants to do whatever that you are supposed to do, someone is actually doing on your behalf. So you are making him, a representative of you. Now we are going to talk about him. All right. Okay. This is what we call authorization. This authorization, meaning you are actually making somebody on behalf. All right. So this authorization, actually a party to a contract. Let me go there, show you the slide. Okay, this is actually what we call um, authorization. A party to a contract who concludes a contract on behalf of another should not only have complete capacity of performance, but he should also be authorized to enter into the contract. All right. So now this authority actually is a two kind of authorization. One is actually comes from the Sharia perspective. All right. This authorization, now you understand what is it, concluding on someone behalf. All right. Um, Even though a person may have a receptive capacity, all right, or maybe a person has may has I mean a person may have complete active capacity, but he also um, got some obstacles to do it. For example, a complete man can do the transaction, but he is not conscious. Or maybe he is in some other condition that he actually cannot conclude the contract. So we need another person on behalf to do it. All right. It could be minor, it could be for minor, it could be for someone is good. Someone is actually complete, at the same time he is actually not in a position to conclude. Or maybe a person is very good, he is in a position to conclude. Understand? First scenario is actually there is a person who is not in a good position to conclude. So he may have one of the obstacles. All right. Maybe he could be minor, he could be lunatic, he could be idiot, or he could be sufaha safih, the prodigal, or he could be, he got a mortal illness. Maybe he's a bankrupt. Huh? Maybe, maybe there are so many obstacles. We talked about it. So there is one scenario: the person himself is not actually capable of doing transaction. So now there is authority to come to help him. So this authority comes from Sharia. You understand? When someone is not able to do a contract, not able to do a contract, Sharia is willing to give him a chance. Put it in that way. You will understand. When someone is not able to do, there are so many forms of not being able to do. We talked about it through the capacities, through the obstacles. Remember, whatever the conditions that he cannot do the transaction. Now Sharia is offering a replacement. Sharia is actually giving an alternative. Because Sharia doesn't say that you cannot do anything because you are like this. No. Sharia says, yes, he actually can conclude the contract, but someone has to do on his behalf. This is why, so that he won't he won't deal with injustice. Just imagine how Sharia wants to, you know, uh, how Sharia aims to the maslaha of the humanity. This is the reason why Sharia is important, because the Sharia is actually the only regulator. Sharia is the only system whereby you and me can have our fair portion. You know, we can have our justice stood by. We can have that. We can be happy about being treated equally. That this is what Sharia is actually doing this job. Right. So now, when you don't have the capacity, or maybe you have obstacles to do any transaction, Sharia is offering a replacement. This is called guardianship. This is what called walaya. Huh? This is walaya, called guardianship. All right. What is the another scenario? The second scenario is very simple. You don't have any capacity issues. You are completely all right in your capacities. You don't have any obstacle issues, right? You don't have any obstacles. You are completely fine. Still, can you ask someone to do the transaction on your behalf? The thing is, you are completely all right. The question comes, why you have to ask someone to do it? You don't need guardian because you are completely all right. You have complete capacity. You don't have any issues in obstacles. So, again, uh, there is a possibility that you can use agency, which is called wakala. So, this is the second scenario introducing when there is someone is very good, at the same time he wants to use someone on his behalf. This is where actually we are all doing it. How we are doing it? In many cases we are doing this. The second scenario, in many cases we are doing it. See, for example, when you are not an expert and you want to sell your house or your car, hmm, or your stuff, for example, even the thing that you are selling in muda, even though it's very cheap, like 10 ringgit, 20 ringgit item, still you are giving uh, an agency cost, uh, the role of an agency to mudah.com, and then you are asking them to sell your product. So now that's because they have the platform. The same thing goes to any online transaction, any commercial e-commerce. uh, the same thing goes to selling your services, for example, e-hailing, or for example, the hospitality, the hotel managements and all these things. Nowadays we have to use this service. That's because we don't have the facility, or maybe we are not expert in that field. So we are looking for an expert to come in to help us to do the transaction on our behalf, so that we can get profit, so that we can actually give him a commission. So many people we are doing it. So this is called what? Called what? Wakala. This is called wakala, which means agency. So now you clearly understood what is guardianship, walaya, and what is agency, which is wakala. All right. So now let me just go through one by one. Guardianship, technically, it is an authority. It is an authority granted by Sharia to a person over the person and property of another, by virtue of which his disposition and transaction in respect of such a person would have legal consequences. You see that there's a legal consequences when we talk about walaya. There is a legal consequences because he is not able to do. Doesn't have a full capacity. He got some obstacles. This is what we call legal consequence. That's why guardianship is required. For example, for every baby, for every son and daughter, the the default by default your father will become your wali, your guardian. If there is no father, then the whoever father whoever father asked him to be the guardian. If not father's father, the grandfather will become. If not, whoever grandfather assigned to be. If there is no father and grandfather or uncles, or there is no family members, then the judge will become by default. The judge will become the guardian, and then the judge himself also can assign someone to become the guardian. Do you understand? This is in the case of only if he is a minor, until he become an adult. After he became an adult, then he can deal himself. But before that, he has to be under someone's supervision. That's because, to safeguard his interest, to safeguard his properties. This is what we call wilaya, which is actually authority granted by Sharia. Remember, this is granted by Sharia. Wakala is different. All right. Guardianship could be over a person, like for education, medical care, and marriage, right? You know about it. For example, if a girl wants to get married, there must be a wali, right? Guardianship. And then guardianship over property, it is concerned about, there is a property, there is no one is there, then the family members can ask someone to become the guardian of the property, so that he has to, he will be authorized to make financial dispositions and transactions on behalf of the ward, right? So for a person, like parent over the child, once the child become an adult, then parent are not guardian anymore. So these are the things are there. um, Also, guardian cannot use a property for self-interest. If he use it, he will have to answer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is all, of course, Allah is watching. Uh, and then also, guardian must be someone blood related, not someone cannot come from outside and can become the guardian unless if there is no one and judge is actually is the one who appointing, then someone is non-blood related can become guardian. Other than that, guardian by default is actually a blood related, is blood related. Then types of people who need guardianship, we talked about it again, is a minor, all right, is in need of guardianship. Other than minor, whoever has a obstacles problem, whoever has a legal capacity problems, they also need guardianship. A father is the natural guardianship of his child's person and property. Father cannot release himself. A father cannot say that I don't want to be his guardian because it is natural. Cannot become, you cannot unguardian yourself. Okay, because guardianship is actually granted by the Sharia. You cannot simply overthrow the guardianship. In his absence, a legal guardianship would have devolved upon father's executor, whoever that father appoint, whoever the father's father appoint, or judge, as I told you. All right. For example, a father cannot say that I want to be the father, not the guardian. He cannot say that. Also, after he pass away, of course, if he pass away, then the executor appointed by father or the judge will become the new guardian. Okay. Okay, again, a lunatic, an idiot, the other obstacles we talked about also need of guardianship. Um, okay, then of course the person who is a lunatic or idiot immediately after attaining age of major remains under the guardianship of the same guardian, because only if there is declared, if there is a medical certificate or if there is a proof that they are no more idiot, they are not no more lunatic, they came back to their sense. Then if they are adult, then they don't need guardians, as long as it is proven that they don't have senses, they are idiots and lunatic, then they need guardianship. Remember why? Because it is in the favor of
Assalamualaikum
those.
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So now we are going to part three of pure company. Okay, the explanation for this could be because the market for labor is very big and
Please
it's a
mute your
lot.
mic.
When supply increase,
Someone
then
is talking, I
the
don't know.
equilibrium price is labor mudah.
Sorry about it.
Okay, and firms price.
This is sorry about the line. It's all right now. Okay. uh, because sometimes we share the account. This is actually a Kulliyyah account. That's why I have to finish before 9:50, so that the next session will use it. But I didn't know why someone using at this time. Okay. Um, okay. So we were talking about the okay then. Let us go back. Hmm. What about the Safi? The Okay, in case of Safi, prodigal, if prodigality continues from the childhood, then a person who was his guardian immediately before attaining the age of major would remain his guardian. However, a judge is the guardian of a person who becomes prodigal after attaining the age of major, as as only a court has the power to declare whether or not a certain person is prodigal. All right. Same thing goes to a bankrupt, but bankrupt is different. Sorry, it's not the same thing. You saw that lunatic, Sefi, right? But when it comes to bankrupt, as I told you earlier, bankrupt is not a person that he doesn't have a sense, because he became bankrupt because he was an eligible adult and he was able to get the loan and everything. but he was not able to pay back. That's because of some circumstances. He lost or something. That's why he became bankrupt. So he doesn't need a guardianship as he has complete capacity of performance. However, he will be restrained from certain financial dealings. That's because you know why? Because the remaining amount of money or remaining the movable and immovable property must be settled in order to protect the interest of the creditors, right? Okay. Okay. What are the conditions of guardianship? Number one, he must have complete capacity. Any guardianship must have complete capacity. A minor cannot become guardian for another minor. All right. A lunatic cannot become the guardian for another lunatic, right? He has to be complete capacity. Number two, he must be a Muslim because if he is a Muslim, because as I told you, this one given from the Sharia, guardianship given from the Sharia. If the uncle or if the grandfather is not a Muslim, he cannot become the wali according to Sharia, right? A guardian must be a just, pious, and practicing. Guardian should have the authority to be able to make a decision required by the guardianship. All right. He should protect, manage, and invest the property of the ward. A guardian should spend on the maintenance of the ward with the moderation, all right, from the ward's property in accordance with his social status and wealth. He cannot overspend because this is not his money. This is the money belong to um, that person, whether it's a minor or lunatic or idiot, and whoever it is. Number five, a guardian should always ensure that the interest of the ward is protected. He is not permitted to use anything that can cause loss. He should do anything that if he is a guardian of the property, he has to use it for beneficial purposes. All right. He can actually conclude any transaction where the possibility of the profit and loss, because PLS, profit loss sharing, this is what we talk about. As a business, always comes with that thing, right? So then you have a guardian cannot become one of the party. Okay, you see, for example, a guardian cannot do the transaction together with him. All right, he has to do the transaction with others. For example, he cannot think that, okay, let me buy my own this property from this kid. Okay, he cannot do that. All right, because it's violating, right? Okay, if there is any guardian violates one of these conditions, the judge may remove him. The judge has all the right to remove him, and the judge will appoint another guardian. All right. Okay, now we are moving into the second scenario, which is actually agency. You already got understood the walaya. Now we talk about wakala. Wakala is referred to a contract where a person who is fully competent authorizes another who is equally competent to do a certain well-defined legal action on his behalf. Right? On his behalf, he actually has a fully competent authority. All right, this is because he's equally competent like others. All right. The wakil is someone who establishes contractual and commercial relations between a principal. A principal is actually we call a sale or a muwakkil. Muwakkil, remember, muwakkil is the one who actually makes someone wakil. Let's say I make you my wakil. If I make you my agent, then I become what? Muwakkil. All right. So it is called principal. So I become the principal, you are the wakil. I become the muwakkil, so you are the agent. A principal, a seal, muwakkil, and a third party for which he can receive a commission. All right. This contract is a non-binding contract. All right. This is called non-binding contract, which means that he can anytime cancel the contract. Let's say if he is not happy, if you're not happy with the platform, you can remove, you can unsubscribe the service anytime. Huh? If you're not happy with the agent, you can call him and say you are fired. Huh? You can call him anytime because this is non-binding contract. For example, we want to sell the property, but we don't have that time or we don't know the market. Therefore, I entrust it to the agent and we will pay the commission to the agency. All right. Another good example is actually the lawyer. Most of the time, the lawyer become the wakil. Remember, in back in India, we still call him. We call all the lawyers by the name of wakil. We call him wakil. In fact, in most of the Indian languages, we call him wakil. That's because he doesn't. He has all the expertise in the legal studies and the legal consequences. Everything he knows, but we don't know because we never learn law, so we don't know the legal consequences. That's why we need someone who can talk on our behalf. So we make him wakil. The necessity of wakala. Why you need wakil? Of course, for the specialized knowledge and expertise. All right. Sometimes because of the distance, you are in the country and you have to go back. For example, especially nowadays, we cannot travel. Many people have properties in different countries. They cannot travel. So what they do? They say, okay, you become my wakil, you become my agent, and you do the transaction on my behalf. I will be instructing you from here over the phone. You got it? So because of the distance. And then also because you don't have enough time, if you become the CEO of the company and then you have so many things, so many appointments, then you won't be able to um, you won't be able to have all the time. So that's one reason why you have to you have to assign someone who can actually do on your behalf. And then the political agency. Okay, this is also we called, I think this word is quite familiar with you. We call wakil ra'yat. I think you know who I mean by Wakil Ra'yat. So all these political leaders, our MPs and member of parliaments, all they are all becoming your Wakil, where it is impossible for everybody to come to the parliament. So we send some people on our behalf, especially we have chosen him or her in according to our own region, and now we are sending them to the parliament so that they can discuss issues related to governance and politics, so that they can actually voice out whatever that you are thinking that it is important. I think they will be doing it. They will be talking on your behalf. It is impossible, all of you can go and talk, right? This is what we call political agency. Okay, now the most important thing, what exactly the difference between the first scenario, which is guardianship, and the second scenario, which is agency. All right, it's very, very simple. So I want you to understand this. The first one in guardianship, you have what they call it. In guardianship, you have um, yeah, the one of the party is actually lack of capacity. You got it? One of the party is lack of capacity, but in agency, both of them have full legal capacity. Okay, this is number one. All right, I hope you understand. The first one is there is one party in guardianship, not both of them are full legal, not both of them have full legal capacity. So either one of them legal capacity. That's the reason why they become guardian. But in wakala, you and me, we both fully completed, fully, we got our own capacity at the same time. Because of some other reason, we ask someone to do on our behalf. All right. Number two, guardians is appointed by Sharia. It is naturally, um, it has to be like, it is what Sharia is actually intending. It is aiming to benefit maslaha the humanity. That's the reason why by default the father's father, or the uncle, or whosoever will become the guardian of of that minor, or so whosoever. But agency, it is actually between you and me. I can make anybody. If I'm not happy with this platform, I can unsubscribe it. I can change to some other platform. Today we have online agency, right? So I'm talking about those things. If I'm not happy selling my product with this commercial e-commerce, then I can go to another e-commerce. If I'm not happy with this agent, I can change to another agent. It is all appointed by the agent, appointed by the subject. I mean the principal. Number three, the guardian and the ward must have the same religion. So it has to be, both of them must be Muslim. But remember, in in agency, not necessary. You can appoint non-Muslim because you are only looking for the expertise. All right, you don't have to be biased. You don't have to say that okay, I only choose Muslim. Not necessary. Not necessary that expertise must be Muslim. All right, because it is a field work. There are many non-Muslims, mashallah, they are doing great job. So we need to, look for them. Number four, guardianship is not usually paid because it's a blood related and it has already become responsibility. There is no payment for guardianship, but for agency, there's a payment, right? For sure, there's a commission. All right. A guardian remains a guardian until number five. A guardian remains a guardian until a minor reaches the age of major. Once he become, once he become adult, no more guardian. All right, but he has there should be guardian until he become the adult. But in agency, the subject, the principal, can cancel or terminate the service anytime. All right. Okay, now we finish completely the second pillar. We talked about the first one, which is
Hello.
what.
Assalamualaikum.
Okay, salam Ammar, yes.
Yeah, I want to ask something regarding the guardianships. Can the guardianship be transferred to children if the parent, for example, if the children already an adult and the parents are sick, they cannot take care of themselves? Can the guardianship transfer to the children? Yes, I want.
Do you mean a transfer to children? I don't understand. Is it like you are canceling the guardianship or transferring to
No,
some other?
what I mean, like, for example, the children already an adult and they need to take care of their six parents. For example, the parents cannot manage themselves. So can the guardianships fall to the children in cases like that?
Okay, let me get your question right. You say that there is a children who needs guardians. At the same time, the guardians who are the parents, they are not able to do proper guardianship. Am I right? Then,
No, no. When the
uh,
children already an adult, that's what I mean.
you mean
What I mean,
children become guardian?
yes, when
Uh,
they're already an adult.
okay, when children become adult,
Yeah, and then for example, their parents cannot manage themselves. They are sick. So does that mean that the guardianships fall to the children's for their children? That's what I want to ask.
okay, okay. You are talking about the reverse, which means when parents are not able to take care of by themselves, then they need a guardian. So you are
Yes, yes.
saying, so you are asking that can the children, I mean, children means they are not supposedly a child, they are actually fully adult, a grown adult. Now this adult can become the guardian. This is uh, when you look at this way, this looks very good question, but don't you think that by default children are the one who's supposed to take care of the father and mother? Don't you think
Yes, but
don't you think that
yeah, yeah.
it is the responsibility, it is not the guardianship, it is actually the children are the one who's supposed to take care of the father and mother, it is on them. uh, so now we talk about this guardianship, of course. Guardianship, who needs guardianship is only the minor, and all those forms of um, the obstacles that we talked about, those people, unless if you are saying they are in the mortal illness, they have some issues, and definitely there are some obstacles that they cannot do the transaction on that particular time, whereby the Sharia court has to come and see the situation. But I don't think that the children will become the guardian